Welcome to Six in the Six. Today's fabulous guest, Alyssa Piechota, Alfred University Saxon goalie extraordinaire. Hello, Alyssa.
Hi,
How are you this morning?
doing pretty good. I had a quick practice this morning with my teammates. It was just like a captain's led practice. We played some speed lax in the annex at our school.
Nice. Nothing like a bright and early captain's led practice.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, before we get going, we must play the fabulous theme music. So let's see if I always mess this up. Here we go. Wait for it. All right, maybe that needs to get edited to be save.
Yeah. I mean, we do see a lot of shots, but saves are better.
Well, maybe we'll get to that a little later because looking through some of your statistics, now that you're a little older as a junior, you have faced some shots down there at Alfred University.
Yeah, there's been a lot more than I thought I was going to get, but it's still good. We're
Yeah, well,
improving.
hey, it's better than standing there with possession in the other side constantly, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean that it's always nice, but it tends to get a little boring at times if it's always on the other end.
Hard to stay focused in on the game and not on maybe what's for lunch or dinner or homework or whatever.
Yeah.
So this is interesting. As I was getting to do this, I realized that even though I've worked with you for a while, I don't know what little Alyssa was like. So let's go back a little bit, although I think I did see a picture at some point.
Probably.
Let's go back. How did you begin your life between the pipes?
Well, I originally started off playing field in like second grade because that's when everyone just starts off playing field when you're that young. And they would just like throw in random people into goal. So like at one point it was my turn to play goalie and I just loved it, mainly because I didn't have to run as much. So that was kind of nice. And then by the time I got to third grade, I'm like, I like goalie. I want to continue learning it. And there was a goalie coach, John Concordia. So he was there helping out. And he just helped me grow as a goalie to start. And I never wanted to stop. I
Yes,
mean, field
Coach
was fun, but not as fun as goalie.
Coach John has absolutely influenced a lot of the landscape around here locally,
Yeah.
which is good. He was a great goalie coach. So, and what organization were you in when you met him and started this?
It was the Webster Women's Lacrosse League.
Okay.
Yeah.
WWLC still going strong.
Oh yeah. We had the green jerseys to start back when we were green.
So you were it's funny because I'm starting to get a better idea of why people start being in goalie. And one reason is, well, I had brothers and they needed someone to shoot at. That seems to be one of them. Then there's well, I liked it because I didn't have to run crowd,
Yep.
which seems to be you. And I
Yep.
think also you a little bit. There's also well, I really love to get tagged and have bruises crowd. I think you're maybe a little bit there.
Yeah, it's all my trophies.
Exactly, and that's a great way to look at it, right? Did you earn that, or did you just stand there and gather it?
Yeah. Most of the time I earned them, but sometimes I gathered them.
Well, it's a shooter's game. Sometimes we're in the way. What can you do, right?
Yeah.
So let's see. So I think I first met you, trying to recall. I think I had come on board at Webster, and I think there was a summer camp, that 104 camp. That
Yeah,
may
I
have been
think
the
so.
first time.
Were you helping out still when Barnes was still coach at Thomas or
No, I came
okay.
in after that. So
So I was in 11th grade then. So that
Yes, I had you for
was,
2 years at Thomas, as I remember.
yeah, that was like 2018 to 2019 then.
Wow, that seems like a long time ago, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's a bit scary.
But it doesn't get any better. Um,
Uh,
so I think what I remember about you the most from my first meeting you was you were like a sponge. You liked to absorb information, and I could see you processing and filtering and trying to figure out, okay, how am I going to apply this to my game and to my style? And
yeah.
I always remember that about you, being very open to trying different things. And I think I tend to be a little bit on the experimental side when it comes to drills and how we do things. So that was a good mesh from the beginning.
We've had a lot of fun drills.
Yeah. Well, I one of my favorite sayings is you can't follow a stop sign. So that is kind of how do we keep learning and doing things. But part of that to me is like how can we be creative in teaching it? Because we can do footwork drills all day, but how many boring footwork drills are there? And can we get them a little more exciting? So
Yeah.
I'm always spinning like up there. I think I probably had my toy bag with me that day, and you were like, "Oh my gosh, this crazy person has like all these crazy things."
Yeah, that bag was huge too when you first started bringing that around.
Yeah, you know what? I finally had to get rid of it because it was too huge and too heavy, and I'm getting too old
Oh,
and too feeble that I couldn't carry it around anymore.
well, at that point, you just put it in your wagon.
Well, let's be honest. I think the bag's bigger than my wagon,
Oh, yeah, probably.
and it evolved into a trailer, which I can pull behind my truck now. So
Wow.
I know, right? Pretty soon I'm gonna need a different place for that. Anyway, um, but we're getting off the track here. Talk about your journey from the WWLC, the fabulous green jerseys, up
Yeah.
through, you started off, you had this passion for goal. Was it always just a given you wanted to play in school, up through modified, up through JV? I mean, talk to me a little bit about how that path went with you, kind of some of the good points, some of the struggles maybe.
Probably when I first started off, I didn't know whether or not I'd continue. Um, but I started off playing and I ended up joining Relentless Hustle in like third grade. I only ended up playing with them for like a year. And then I don't really remember why I stopped playing with them. So, but then by like fourth grade, I was at a tournament for the WWLC and like someone just needed a goalie. So I'm like, I'll play, and it ended up being for Monster. So after that, I joined that club team and I played with them until like ninth grade. But then like that middle school area, there was a point where I'm like, I kind of like almost didn't continue playing. It was like it just wasn't, it was okay. It was like it was fun, but it wasn't as fun as it used to be. So I kind of like took a step back from like the travel team a little bit and started focusing more on goalie just so I could improve more because I hadn't really been getting much instruction when I was playing on the travel team. So I ended up getting more just like goalie specific work. And then by the time eighth grade came around for modified, I was doing much better. And after that point, I realized I wanted to continue playing lacrosse because I loved it, but I didn't want to go D1. So I kind of also continued playing for the travel league, ended up stopping like right before my ninth grade year of high school. And then I just played for my high school team. I played JV for ninth grade and then varsity for my last 3-ish years. COVID kind of cut off that last one, but I knew I wanted to still go to school and be able to play because I love it, but I didn't want it to be like my entire life in college.
Right, right. I think two interesting things came out of that. I want to cycle back first to the um, part of kind of losing the enjoyment of that travel, that club team. Was it strictly the fact that you weren't getting specific goalie work, or were there other factors involved which started to lessen the fun? And I don't want to call out any clubs or things, but more from a standpoint of, what was going on that you were like, I don't know if I like this anymore. Too much work, not enough work.
Well, I mean, there was just like nothing really anything goalie specific. I kind of felt like in the practices, I was just there as a battering board for them to just shoot at. And it wasn't helping me mentally at all because ended up going backwards in my technique. I would just stand in goal in some games and like step backwards or not move at all. So I'd be starting to get hurt. So that wasn't good. Um, Also, the coach was like trying to push everyone to go D1. And at that point, I kind of knew I didn't want to go D1. So it was kind of just like a difference of opinions and on that matter. So
Yeah, I think it amazes me how many programs, and that can be youth, that can be club, that can be high school, collegiate, either don't have goalie coaches
yeah.
or don't have people who understand how to train the goalies, and kind of like you said, just kind of throw you in there as a backboard, and this isn't helping me.
Yeah, like some of the practices, there wouldn't be a goal. I'd be standing in front of a wall. So like if I missed the shot, it would come back and smack me in the back, and that was just not good.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
Um, so and I remember it was weird. I think we were doing like movement activities, hand-eye stuff and footwork stuff at the ice rink.
Yeah.
And I always you come in and just like tear it up in there. And I'd always be like, man, this girl isn't playing anything but school. And I mean, honestly, I think you showed up some of the people that were playing a little more just with your attitude and work ethic to improve. And maybe that was partially because when you're doing one team, maybe there's a little bit of burnout involved in there as well when you're constantly doing the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, also the team itself was really good. Like we'd always be winning. So I kind of got bored with that because like if the team also didn't happen to do that good, I kind of would take the brunt of it sometimes. So it's like if everyone was doing bad, I just felt like I'd get yelled at the most sometimes.
The old, it was the goalie's fault because she didn't save everyone else's butt
Yeah.
at the end. Yeah, perfect. That's actually one of the reasons I got into mental performance coaching as well.
Mhm.
Because sometimes we are an island down in that circle, and it can get a little lonely, and we can get a little inside of ourselves. So yeah, as you know, I like to focus on that.
Yeah.
I also loved in this part of it, you talking about not wanting to go D1. You wanted to play post high school. You wanted to play a higher level, but it wasn't. It seems to me that today, and maybe it's more parent driven than player driven. I think it's probably a combination. Maybe some coaches, some clubs are different, but just pushing on the D1, and you're more of an athlete student, I feel, especially if you go to the bigger schools. So
Yeah.
it's very respectable that you realized the importance of where your focus was. You wanted to still play and find the fun, but you're learning to be a ceramic engineer.
Yep.
We might talk about that later. I just talk about the little claymation things you make or whatever it is. I don't. Um, all right. So you talked about like shots and like being on your club, really good team, not seeing a lot of shots.
That was like during the games. Like if it was
Right.
like,
Yeah. So I think you get into your high school experience and maybe see a few more shots there.
yeah.
Was there any level of frustration ever at playing at a level where you didn't see a lot of shots because of your team, and then getting into an environment where you're like, oh, why are they letting me that girl through and getting a shot?
Um, I mean, if it was like an easier game one day and then later in the week we played a harder game, that was kind of tough because the shots were like completely different levels. And then I would just kind of get frustrated because I feel like I'm trying my best in like the game with more shots, but it's not working. But yeah.
How did you like from a mentality standpoint, how did you, I mean, sometimes in high school you have 3, maybe 4 games some weeks, depending on, that's such a short season. How did you mentally either prepare or deal with afterwards, kind of that roller coaster where one game you play a great team and it was easier, and then another day you play a tougher team and you got lit up a little bit. I mean, how'd you manage that roller coaster?
Um, Honestly, I don't remember much. I think I kind of just like blocked it out if it was like a really bad game, or I'd just try and like replay what happened in that bad game and figure out what went wrong and see if there's anything I could do improve. But for the most part, I think I just kind of shut it out, which probably isn't the best.
Or yeah, I like you said that you kind of thought about what could have gone differently, what you could have done better. I recall working with you in at least in your junior and senior year, and you were very aware of things you wanted to work on.
Yeah.
If I came in and said, "Hey, it's your day. What do you want to work on today?" You never really stumbled around and said, "Well, I don't know." There was always something specific. So I think fast forward a few years to where you are now, I think that aided in your development and your ability to perform at the level you're at now and receive some of the accolades you've been getting.
Yeah. I mean, it also could just be it's been so long that I kind of can't remember. But like for these past few seasons, I've been working better on just like trying to remember the game more because sometimes I tend to block it out if it is a bad game, but just trying to think of what I could do to improve and then not block it out as much.
Right. Well, your memory's like getting bad and you're not even a senior yet. Come on.
It's not, well, it's depending on the things I'm trying to remember, it's bad, but
I get it. Believe me, I have very selective memory.
yeah.
All right. So let's talk about what fueled your decision to go to Alfred University. What really attracted you about the team, the school? Why there?
Well, when I first started looking at the school, the team wasn't like really strong in their like skill wise, but like the players on the team, they were all so very friendly and welcoming, and they seemed so excited that I was actually just even looking into considering going to the school. And like that was the type of environment I wanted to play with. But also, I knew I'd be able to play lacrosse, but also still focus mainly on my studies. And also, it's a ceramic engineering school. It's like one of the few on the in the US, I think, that actually has that program specifically. And so I just kind of visited the school, heard the professors talk about the program, and just fell in love with how they explained everything and just knew I wanted to go here just so I could study that, but also because I could still play lacrosse.
Nice. And then you get into your seasons, and I kind of want to get inside your head a little bit as you start off your freshman year. I mean, just some of the looking at some of your stat sheet and stuff, right? And not right off the bat, but shortly thereafter. I mean, we have Empire 8 honors, Sportswoman of the Year, Goalie of the Week numerous times, academic honors, school records. I mean, single game ground balls, 13. That's pretty decent. Single game saves, 24. That
Yeah, I
is
tied that
absolutely
one.
crazy. And then single season saves, 191 plus. Wow, dude.
Yeah.
So I think they probably go hand in hand as you're seeing so many shots, right? I mean, what's just your constant mentality and reset? You see a lot of shots. We figure a save percentage around 50%. You're seeing some balls go by you as well.
Mhm.
How are you dealing with that mentally when you're having that many shots?
Um, if it's a save, then it's really good. I just got to make sure I take my time on the clears, or if it's like a fast break, try and get it out as fast as I can, but still have a good clear. And then if it's not, just try and like take a breath, calm down, and focus on making sure that I can get the ball to the other end so it's not coming right back at me. And then if it goes past me, just trying to reset what happened, like think what went wrong and what I could do to make sure that doesn't happen again. Also, just talk to my teammates, see what their thoughts were, and try and figure out if there's anything I can do to help them so that that situation doesn't happen again.
Love that, especially the tail end of that with the discussion and the working through things. I always knew you had great leadership traits in you, and I think they've definitely started coming out, if not fully come out down there. Do you feel that the number of shots you took and the way you were able to handle them and the way you were able to articulate back to your defense and more team, do you think that was really the genesis, the start of you taking on a leadership role on the team?
Probably. I mean, it's definitely gotten better in college. Like I actually talked to my defense more about what needs to happen or what could be fixed, because I don't think I really did that much in high school at all, which probably would have helped jumpstart things more if I started doing that in high school, but it's better late
So,
than never.
so if the old Alyssa, I mean the current Alyssa, was to talk to the eighth grade Alyssa, you would say the number one thing you should work on is more communication with the defense.
Yeah. Because the most I did at the younger levels was just tell them where the ball position was. And even then I didn't always do it. So definitely needed to amp that up.
I like it. So make sure you store that in your memory bank. So when you start coaching goalies, because you will be a great goalie coach. I tend to think sometimes that communication piece is, I don't want to say overlooked, but maybe not focused on as much as it could be.
Yeah.
Maybe in the team environment, the head coaches are like, hey, we need to talk about that. But I don't think us as goalie coaches necessarily give that enough attention.
Yeah. It'd probably also be helpful if we focused on like the type of communication that's helpful. Because like the ball position, but then there's like coaches that are sometimes like telling me, oh, you should like help direct your defense. And I'm like, okay, but how am I supposed to help direct the defense? And there's just like not much help there sometimes.
Well, okay, so this gets into one of my favorite topics that I've noticed with goalies I work with, is that we can start communicating that kind of information to our defense too much that it pulls us out of our focus. So we start
Yeah.
missing shots that we would have normally saved. So I think the importance there is understanding how much you can give, I guess, without detracting from your job.
Yeah. Because I've had a few coaches, they're like, you need to talk more to help direct the defense. And if I start focusing too much on that, I lose focus on the actual ball, the shot.
Not good for us. No, we like that
No.
yellow thing right out here in front of us where we can see it. Um, how how did how does it feel to be so widely recognized for your accomplishments down there?
It feels really good because like Alfred, we need the publicity so we can hopefully help build the program up so it's even stronger, because it was kind of neglected a little when I first came here. So it's definitely improved and I'm hoping to just grow it even more.
So are you going to be the face of the alumni game when they have them and come back and rock the circle when you're even a little older?
Maybe. I'm
Maybe.
definitely planning on coming back.
All right. So coach, you've got your goalie for the alumni game.
Yep.
All right. So since we're on the topic of school, ceramic engineering, Alfred, one of the few places in the country, at least so you say, because I don't
I
know,
believe.
that what exactly does a ceramic engineer do? I mean, I'm thinking little claymation movies and things, but it must be more than that.
Yeah, basically it's anything that's like a ceramic material or even a powder. And then it's used to help make things like more thermally or heat resistant, I guess you could say. Like I sound like coatings for a bunch of different stuff. It's in like your microchips and like your computers and other things. It's also like this heat, uh, the space shields, like the heat protective
Oh
shields
yeah,
on like
yeah.
space rockets.
I know what you mean.
Yeah. So it's also like all that stuff. Um, anything that needs something to be a lot more thermally resistant.
That sounds like it's really difficult.
This semester's been a little rough so far. I had a lot of midterms last week.
So how do you, from a time management perspective, right? I like to ask this question because you see it all the time. It's crazy to me to watch you student athletes juggle, especially a tough course load like you're in, your academic side of things, your athletic side of things, maybe some social life if you get any of that. How has being a student athlete with a tough curriculum and seeing a lot of shots on the field, how has time management, your time management, changed from high school into college to manage all these and be successful on both of them?
Homework kind of gets done whenever I have time, especially when I'm in season. And then when I'm in season, I do try and take a lighter course load, but it usually only ends up being around 16 credits. And then in the fall, I'm usually around 18. So like the fall is easier to manage all of my homework around, because if I do have like a test the next day, the coaches are a bit more lenient about missing like a fall ball practice just so that I have enough time to like study and prepare for that test. And then if I do, so like the past 2 years, I've had a lot of like 6 a.m. practices. So even in the spring during season, it was a lot of 6 a.m.s. So I'd be trying to do most of my homework done before or like ahead of time. So it's not like last minute cramming, trying to get it done. And then I'm also trying to make sure I get at least like 7 hours of sleep at night. So I'd be trying to get it all done before like 10 o'clock. And then if I had time throughout the day, there's possibility for a nap or homework.
A nap. So for the entire audience out there, that is the life of a student athlete, hoping to
Yep.
get a nap in.
Yep.
So I love 6 a.m. practices. I wish we had them more often. Like that's what our fall schedule is here at Roberts. I'd like that in the spring too. I love getting it out of the way for the day so we can focus on everything else. If coach is listening, let's move them to 5:30. I'd like them a little earlier. Let's go. We got
I
lights.
mean, that's a bit early.
It's 6, 5:30. I mean, what's the difference?
I mean, we have to be at the locker room by 5:30, so we are normally up by 5. We just
See?
are. Yeah, but if we have to move it to 5:30, that means we have to be at the locker room by 5. So that means we'd have to get up at 4:30.
Now you're talking my language.
That's a bit early.
Yeah. Granted, I'm not a student athlete. So, all right. So I want to talk about your, I don't want to call it a side hobby, your side passion of swimming. To the point where you actually sat up on the chair and lifeguarded, at least this past summer. Talk a little bit about your passion for swimming, why you also enjoy that, and how you think swimming's benefited you as a lacrosse goalie.
Well, I've always loved being in the water, and like swimming just came easily to me for the most part. So like I started swimming in modified or like middle school level, and then I kind of just kept with it until my senior year of high school. But I never intended for swimming to go much farther than that, and I haven't. But mainly it was just a way for me to like trying to just get in shape for like the cross season. So like I do all the work, so I get in pretty good shape, and then I have the winter and then the cross season, and for the most part, it kept me in good shape. I mean, with flip turns, it's worked on my core and my legs, but which is helpful for goalies, but that's about it for that.
Yeah, I don't think I mean, I'm not an expert, but I don't think there's many things, many activities, many sports that keep you in better shape than swimming.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you can, that's funny. You don't like to run, but you'll swim laps.
Yeah. And then they started having us run for dry lands. So I never got away from running. Yeah. I couldn't get away.
You couldn't play goalie in swimming. That would be water
No,
polo, I guess.
I mean, water polo is more fun than running. Like we would do that every now and then in practice, but that would
Okay,
have been better
so
than
did
running.
you play goalie for in water polo?
I did a few times. There was a lot of treading water.
I was going to say, so because you're not standing on a little platform under there.
No.
You're like, yes, you're treading water and you're having to figure out angles and when exactly I should try to explode up, which I'm not
Yeah.
exactly sure how you do when you've been treading water for 3 hours. Um,
Yeah. I
yeah,
mean, for the
so
most part, they allowed us to like hang on the wall. So like if I saw a shot coming, I would just kind of explode outwards at the shot off the wall and kind of
oh,
put my
that,
hands up and try and hope that I blocked it.
hold it. So is that just you guys messing around or can you actually do that when you're officially playing? Do you know?
I don't know. That was just when we were kind of doing it for fun.
That seems like cheating. It seems like you would find the longest goalie you could find, that 6'8" girl from the who knows where, and she could just spring herself as good as possible on the back wall and just use her entire length to save the. Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, some of the rules were different for how we played versus how you're probably supposed to play, but
I
yeah, I
think
don't
it's
think you were
impressive.
supposed to allow it.
I look at water polo goalies sometimes in terms of angling and stuff, but I'm always like, darn, how are they doing that when they're treading water?
They have really good explosion with their legs. And like just being able to shove the water down and then probably kick so that they can get their upper body out of the water.
Yeah, probably good practice for being a lacrosse goalie.
Probably.
So, what made you think about lifeguarding? Was it just like, well, I needed some money for the summer, or were you like, I really want to be up here and save somebody who doesn't know how to tread water?
It was basically just a way to make money. It was also like I started lifeguarding when I was in ninth grade, so I was 15 at the time. So like it was like also one of the few jobs I could actually get at that young of an age. And then I just kept with it because it was easy. Like I got paid to just sit around and make sure everyone was okay.
That's one of those jobs that's easy until it's not.
Yeah. Luckily nothing bad has happened, but for now it's easy.
Like I always think that like when I'm in like Southern California or down in Florida and you see those lifeguards up on their stands and it's all good until you see the shark fin.
Yeah.
Yeah, no thanks. I lifeguarded a little bit when I was littler and yeah, no, I got too big and out of shape. So that was that. All right, so the last question left by our last guest is what highlight will you always remember about your from your lacrosse career so far?
Um Probably just like the teammates from my college. Like we all just like get along really well and just like it's almost so much fun to just hang out and have fun. Even if we're not playing lacrosse, just like getting together and doing like something for like team bonding. Like that's always so much fun.
Yeah, I love it because it's good to hear that too because a lot of times you hear the things you remember out of your athletic experience almost at any level isn't the scoreboard or how you did in the last tournament. It's the memories made from the connections you make with your teammates. Um, they're in your wedding at some point or they're whatever. But yeah, so that's kind of cool to hear.
Yeah.
Not surprised that that was your answer. So, which one should I do next? Okay, so I don't know how much prep you did for this.
Uh-oh.
As no, just in general for this, right?
Oh.
So, like some people get all stressed out. Oh my God, he didn't send me questions. I don't know what he's going to ask. Some people, you seem a little more calm about it. You don't really, whatever, I'll take it. Was there something you were expecting me to ask that I didn't? And how would you have answered it?
Ooh. Um, I don't know. This is a tough one. I gotta think of this one.
They used to ask me that on job interviews, and I'd be like,
Oh, um, Probably like what I plan to do after this, after college. And like right now, I'm not entirely sure. I'm hoping to get a job in like manufacturing for ceramic engineering. Um, and then I do plan, I really want to help coach eventually with lacrosse. So hopefully wherever I end up, there's a team there that I can help out with.
I think there probably will be. The game's growing well enough, especially if you get a job in a less popular area like the Northeast. You know, there's probably more opportunity for that. Like we said, not every place has goalie coaches, and I think you're
No.
going to be a good one,
I hope so.
right? How about maybe might be a couple years in the AU or something. I mean, you know, they might need a goalie. You never
Yeah.
know.
I mean, we do have someone who's so far verbally committed to coming in next year. So I finally have someone to back me up.
Oh, I think we know her.
Yep.
Hold on. Well, we won't say her name, but we know her.
Yes.
Yes, that was cool. We met her at my camp.
Yep.
All right. So for our next guest, which don't really know who it is that, what question would you like to leave them?
Hmm. Probably like their favorite memory. It's going to be kind of similar to what I was asked, but their favorite memory from high school
Okay.
playing.
That'll be a good one. If it's it might be a goalie mom, so I might have to reframe that to like, what's your
Oh, if it's
favorite
a
moment of watching your daughter during the high school years?
well, if it's a parent, almost go with what was the scariest moment of watching their kid play?
Oh, that's a good one. All right, so we got two. If it's a player, it's going to be one question. Or now you would kind of want to make me get a goalie mom.
There you go.
I want to know the answer to that question. Um, Alyssa, I appreciate your time this morning. I know you're busy at school and running around like a crazy person and being a captain and a leader and a student athlete. So I appreciate your time on this Friday morning. And yeah,
It's been fun.
I will chat with you later.
Okay.
See ya.